In 1980, two researchers did something quietly cruel to a group of volunteers. And what those volunteers experienced tells us something unsettling and tricky about the human mind. My name is Jafar, and this is your weekly dose of curiosity. Here's the experiment. Researchers Robert Kleck and Angelo Strenta recruited volunteers and told them that they were studying how people with facial disfigurements are treated by others in social interactions. First, a professional makeup artist applied a realistic-looking scar to each participant's face. They saw it in the mirror. It looked real and convincing. Then, they went in to have an ordinary conversation with a stranger. That stranger was also part of the experiment crew. When they came back, they reported that the other person had stared at them, treated them differently, rude in some cases. They had detailed, specific memories of moments where they felt judged, all because of their scar. Except there was no scar. Right before the participants went in, the makeup artist said, "Just one finishing touch," but that's not what they did. They removed the scar entirely. The participants walked into the room with a completely clear face and absolutely no idea. The other person wasn't reacting to anything on their face, but the participants were convinced that they were. Now, think what that means beyond the psychology lab. If you've experienced real discrimination because of your race, your appearance, your gender, your accent, your brain builds a model that scans for that discrimination. But once it's active, it's very hard to turn off. The brain starts finding the pattern even when it isn't there. Neutral glances become hostile ones. Ambiguous comments become evidence. The original experiences were real. The radar they created starts working 24/7 and then it overshoots. And if we continue priming ourselves for those experiences, we will see evidence where there is none. We will think we carry scars when our faces are clear. So why does the brain work this way in the first place? Neuroscientist Feldman Barrett, the author of How Emotions Are Made, has a compelling answer. She argues that emotions aren't things that just happen to us, they're things that brain actively constructs. The brain, she says, is constantly taking in raw data from the outside world and from our own body and building a story around it. It doesn't just register reality, it interprets it. And here's where it gets tricky. Your body's physical state is one of the key inputs that brain works with. If you run down, tired, sleepy, your brain registers that depletion and starts building emotional meaning around it. The fatigue becomes anxiety, the heaviness becomes dread. A perfectly ordinary day starts to feel like an evidence that things are going wrong. So the physical state comes first, the psychological spiral follows. The scar experiment is like a sibling to the theory of constructed emotions. The participants believed something was wrong with their appearance. That belief was the raw input, and the brain dutifully constructed a reality to match it, finding confirmation in every glance, every pause, every slightly off expression. There is a quote often attributed to Viktor Frankl, the psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, that feels like the right place to land. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. The scar experiment and Barrett's work point to the same thing, that most of us are living almost entirely in the automatic response. The brain fires, the story is constructed, and we believe it completely. We keep reciting the same cognitive scripts written in the past. But that space to choose our response exists. And the first step to finding it is knowing that the story your brain is telling you, however vivid, however convincing, is still just a story. Think about the last time you walked into a room feeling off. A bad day, a pimple, an outfit you weren't sure about. Did people actually notice? Or did your brain just construct the world where they did? Sometimes the harshest audience you'll face isn't in the room with you. It's the one building the story before you even walk in. If this resonated, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments. This was the weekly dose of curiosity. Stay curious. Jafar out.